December 12, 2003. A snowy night in the quiet town of Crestwood, Maine. 19-year-old Emily Parker, the kind of girl everyone in town adored, had just finished her late shift at a local diner. She waved goodbye to her coworkers, stepped out into the cold, and started walking home. She never made it. Her phone was later found discarded in a nearby alley, her car still parked at the diner, her footprints stopping abruptly in the snow as if she had simply vanished into the darkness. The entire town mobilized to search for her. Volunteers combed through the freezing woods. Police went door to door. Flyers with Emily's smiling face plastered every shop window. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and when no body was found, the search slowed. Emily's disappearance became a painful mystery no one could solve. Rumors began to swirl. Some blamed her ex-boyfriend. Others whispered about a drifter who had been passing through town that week. But without evidence, no arrests were made. Eventually, the case went cold, gathering dust in the back of the Crestwood Police Department. The town slowly moved on, but Detective Samuel Hayes never forgot. Hayes had been a rookie officer when Emily vanished. Now, 20 years later, he was a seasoned detective with a reputation for solving impossible cases. Haunted by his failure to find Emily, Hayes decided to reopen the cold case. Alone. He spent weeks buried in old evidence files, rereading witness statements and scanning grainy photographs. Most of it felt hopelessly irrelevant, until he spotted something in a single photo taken the night Emily disappeared. In the background, barely visible through the falling snow, was a reflection in a store window. A man's silhouette, standing just a few feet behind Emily. This detail had been completely overlooked during the original investigation. Hayes enhanced the image, and what he saw sent a chill down his spine. The man was wearing a distinctive leather jacket with a torn sleeve. Digging into old reports, Hayes found only one person known to own that exact jacket back in 2003. Tommy Granger, a local handyman who had been briefly questioned and released 2 decades earlier. At the time, Tommy had no alibi, but there was nothing linking him to the crime, so the investigation moved on. Now Hayes had a lead. He tracked Tommy down to a nearby town where he was living a quiet life. When Hayes confronted him with the enhanced photo, Tommy's hands began to shake. At first, he denied everything. Then, as tears welled in his eyes, he broke down and confessed. But what he revealed next turned the entire case upside down. Tommy claimed Emily wasn't a victim at all. According to him, Emily had orchestrated her own disappearance. She wasn't the sweet, innocent girl everyone believed she was. Tommy said Emily had been running a secret web of crimes in Crestwood: theft, blackmail, even extortion, all while hiding behind her image as the town's golden girl. She had manipulated friends, neighbors, and even her own family to get what she wanted. On the night she disappeared, she convinced Tommy to help her stage a fake kidnapping so she could run away with thousands of dollars she had stolen. When Tommy tried to back out at the last minute, Emily threatened to frame him as her kidnapper. Hayes didn't want to believe it. Emily had been idolized for years. But then Tommy handed Hayes a small silver locket, claiming he had kept it all this time. Inside was a folded scrap of paper with a list of names. Many of those names belonged to people who had suffered mysterious financial ruin, or even died under suspicious circumstances in the years leading up to Emily's disappearance. The evidence was undeniable. Emily wasn't Crestwood's lost daughter. She was its hidden predator. Hayes realized with growing horror that if Emily had faked her disappearance, she could still be alive, free to continue her crimes under a new identity. Determined to find her, Hayes dug deeper. As he combed through recent reports in nearby towns, he noticed disturbing patterns. New scams and disappearances that matched Emily's old methods almost perfectly. The realization hit him like a freight train. She hadn't stopped. She had simply moved on to new hunting grounds. Late one night, after another exhausting day of chasing leads, Hayes walked to his car in the empty police parking lot. That's when he saw it. A small envelope taped to his windshield. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. It was Emily, older now, her once innocent smile colder, sharper, standing in front of a house Hayes had driven past just hours earlier. On the back of the photo were 3 chilling words scrawled in red ink. "Stop looking, detective." Hayes froze. Emily wasn't just alive. She was watching him. She had been watching all along. For 20 years, Crestwood mourned the loss of a beloved daughter, never realizing they were protecting a wolf in sheep's clothing. Hayes thought he had uncovered the truth, but the game was only beginning. Evil doesn't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes it wears the face of the person you'd least suspect. As Hayes stared at the photo in his trembling hands, a horrifying thought settled in. Emily wasn't running anymore. She was hunting. The photo on Detective Hayes' windshield wasn't just a threat. It was a message. Emily Parker was alive, watching him, and she wasn't afraid to let him know it. For 20 years, the people of Crestwood had mourned a girl they believed was innocent. Now Hayes knew the truth. The so-called victim was actually the mastermind behind a web of crimes stretching far beyond anything the town had ever imagined. But this revelation was only the beginning. Hayes took the Polaroid straight to his office, locking the door behind him. He studied every detail of the image. Emily was standing outside a small, run-down farmhouse on the outskirts of Crestwood, a place Hayes had driven past earlier without a second thought. He zoomed in and noticed something terrifying in the background. A blurred figure standing in the window, watching Emily with blank, lifeless eyes. Was it another victim or an accomplice? The next morning, Hayes returned to the farmhouse with backup. The house was empty, but what they found inside was chilling. The walls were lined with newspaper clippings, maps, and photographs. A twisted scrapbook of crimes dating back decades. Missing persons cases, mysterious deaths, financial scams, all connected by one constant. Emily's name, written again and again in red ink. In the center of the room was a single chair, facing a cracked mirror. A note sat on the seat, addressed to Hayes. It read, "You're closer than anyone has ever been, but you'll never catch me, because while you're searching for me, I'm already searching for you." Hayes' gut twisted. This wasn't just about finding Emily anymore. This was a game, and Emily was always 2 steps ahead. As the team combed through the evidence, they discovered something even darker. Emily hadn't been working alone. The farmhouse walls revealed a sprawling network of names, local officials, business owners, and even law enforcement officers. People Emily had manipulated, blackmailed, or recruited to help cover her tracks. Crestwood hadn't just been her hunting ground. It had been her headquarters. The deeper Hayes dug, the clearer it became. Emily wasn't just a runaway teen who faked her own disappearance. She was the leader of an organized crime ring responsible for countless disappearances and deaths across multiple states. Every time investigators got close to solving one of her crimes, Emily would slip away, leaving someone else to take the fall. She had perfected the art of hiding in plain sight. But there was one clue Hayes couldn't ignore. Among the chaos pinned to the wall, a small, faded map of the Crestwood area had been circled in 3 distinct places. Two of those locations matched known crime scenes. The third was an abandoned summer camp deep in the woods. Hayes felt a surge of adrenaline. If Emily had marked that location, it meant something important was hidden there. Maybe even Emily herself. Against his captain's orders, Hayes went alone. The forest was silent as he approached the camp, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. The cabins were rotting, their windows broken, but something about the main lodge felt wrong. Inside, the smell of mildew and decay filled the air. Dust covered everything, except for a single, recently lit candle on a table in the center of the room. Beside it lay a stack of photographs. Hayes flipped through them, his heart pounding. Each photo showed a different missing person, their faces staring blankly into the camera. Some cases dated back 20 years, others as recent as last month. And then, the last photo made his blood run cold. It was a picture of himself, taken just days ago, standing in front of his own house. Before Hayes could react, a distorted voice crackled through an old speaker in the corner of the room. "Detective Hayes," the voice purred, calm and mocking. "I was hoping you'd come alone. You've been so busy chasing me. You didn't notice who's been chasing you." Hayes spun around, gun drawn, but there was no one there. Only the echo of Emily's laughter filling the empty room. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him. Chains rattled as heavy metal shutters dropped over the windows. Hayes was trapped. The voice continued. "You're smart, detective. Smarter than most. That's why I chose you. But you still don't understand the truth." There was a pause, followed by a low, sinister whisper. "I was never the only monster in Crestwood." Hayes' breath caught in his throat. What did she mean? Before he could process the words, a hidden panel in the floor creaked open, and something began crawling out, something Hayes couldn't fully see in the darkness. The camera cuts to black. Emily's voice echoes one last time. "See you soon, detective." To be continued. Like and subscribe to Dark Crime Truths so you don't miss part 2, where the full scope of Emily's network will finally be revealed, and Hayes will uncover a truth darker than he ever imagined.